How do we better understand what we read? For narrative stories, we ask and answer questions. Follow along as I read the story and pose think-aloud questions. The Monster in the Barn. As Bobby was getting ready for bed, he heard a loud screeching coming from the barn outside. Bobby did not know what was making such a loud noise, and he had trouble falling asleep that night. He was scared there might be a monster in the barn. When Bobby woke up the next morning, he went to the barn to see what was causing the noise the night before. Bobby was perplexed and could not figure out what would make such a noise. That night, after dinner, Bobby got a flashlight and headed out to the barn. Setting. What is the setting of a story? Thinking. As I look at the title, it gives me a few clues about the setting. Most barns are on farms, so this might take place on a farm. The setting is the time and the place for a story. I also notice that Bobby is in his room and has to go outside to get to the barn. The loud noise is coming from the barn. The setting helps me visualize or see in my mind Bobby walking to the barn to investigate. "Where are you going?" Bobby's father asked. "I'm going to find the monster in the barn that made so much noise last night," Bobby replied. This part is about characters. Who are the characters? Who is the main character? How do you know this is the main character? Well, I'm thinking this story is mostly about Bobby. I know that Bobby is the main character because he is leading the action. He is the one who could not sleep and is going to investigate. "If you are going to look for a monster, you might need some company," Bobby's dad said, and he walked with Bobby out to the barn. Bobby shined his flashlight into the dark barn but did not see anything. Bobby called out, but nothing answered. He walked into the barn, but still did not see a monster. "What did this monster sound like?" Bobby's dad asked. "It was a loud screeching noise," Bobby said, "and it was coming from the barn." Bobby's dad began to laugh, and he took the flashlight from Bobby. Shining the flashlight up at the roof of the barn, Bobby and his dad saw a small brown owl in the rafters of the roof. "It was only a barn owl that you heard last night," Bobby's dad said. "They are nocturnal hunters, so that is why you only heard him at night." Bobby was happy that it wasn't a monster, and he thanked his dad as they walked back to the house. Just then they heard a loud screech and looked up to see the barn owl flying away into the night sky. What is the problem in this story? Is there a problem in the story? How do you know? Who is affected by this problem? What are some possible solutions to the problem? What would you do? The problem is that Bobby can't sleep because of a loud noise coming from the barn. I know that is the problem because it is the reason why Bobby goes to the barn. I would also go and investigate, but I think I would ask my dad to go with me first. This is the same section that we just read, but this time I want you to think about the solution. What is the solution to the problem? That means, how was it solved? What is the solution, and how was the problem solved? Do you agree with how the problem was solved? The solution was the discovery of the owl being the source of the screech. Bobby learns that he is nocturnal and hunts at night. That's why he makes the sound. I am not sure if the problem is solved for Bobby's lack of sleep, though. Why is it important to ask and answer questions while we read? It is important to ask questions while we read so we can understand and remember what the story was about.